with Mrs. Reed.
Hello, artists. We will be making optical illusion artwork, or op art for short. I'll show you a few ways that you can make an op art paper weaving and also how to do an optical illusion drawing. To make your paper weaving, you need at least 2 pieces of paper that are different colors. If you don't have construction paper, you could always use a brown paper bag or even color your own paper using markers or crayons. One paper will be your loom that you weave on, and the other paper will be your weft. You can have more than one color for your weft if you would like. For your loom, you want to fold it in half, hamburger style, and then on the side that is not folded, the opposite side of where the fold line is, you want to draw a line that will just remind you to not cut past that line. It'll sort of be your stop sign for when you're cutting. Near the middle, draw one line that goes straight down, and to the left of it, draw 2 diagonal lines that angle towards the left. Do the same thing on the right side. When you're done, cut these lines, but remember, don't go past that first line that you drew. When you're done cutting, open up your paper and your loom should look something like this. It should be one connected piece still. Now you're ready to cut your weft. Holding your paper horizontally, you're going to cut out long, skinny strips of paper, like what I'm doing here. If you want it to be perfectly straight lines, you could always use a ruler first. And now you're ready to weave. Picking up one strip of paper, you are going to go over, then under, over, then under, then over and under each cut piece of your loom. When you add your second strip, make sure that you start out the opposite way. So you can see at first my purple paper was going over the yellow at the very top, and then I went under for my second strip of paper. And you will continue that pattern so it sort of creates almost a checkerboard look on your weaving. Try to keep an eye out for mistakes. Like here, I accidentally went under, and if that happens, just beep, 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 back your weft up like a truck, and then fix your mistake and keep going. Make sure to push your weft papers close together as you weave to try to fit them all in nice and neatly. The last paper you add, you might even need to trim down to make sure it fits in all the way. I picked 2 different complementary color papers to try a different kind of weaving. Starting out the same way, my loom paper gets folded and I drew my do not cross line on there. But the lines that I'm using this time are not straight or diagonal. Now I'm doing curved lines that curve out towards the left and out towards the right. When you're ready to cut, try your best to stay on that line, but remember to not cut all the way to the opposite side of your paper. Make sure that you stop when you reach that stop line. This time I'll also cut my weft strips into different thicknesses, inspired by Bridget Riley's painting. So when I'm weaving, I put the thicker weft papers towards the outsides and the skinnier papers towards the middle where it's folded. For the last paper weaving, the loom was cut out the same way I did on the very first one with diagonal lines, but I'm going to do the weft a bit differently. This time, instead of using straight or curved lines, I'm doing sort of a zigzag design, kind of random all across my paper. And then when I cut them out, it is really important that I keep them in the correct order, almost like puzzle pieces. That way I can put them in the right spot when I start to weave. And then when you start to weave, you'll continue that same pattern over, under, over, under. I thought weaving with these crooked weft strips was probably the most challenging of all the paper weavings, simply because they're very zigzaggy, so they got caught on my red paper, and it was a little frustrating at times, but I kept trying, and I was happy with how it came out in the end. It's also a little tricky to kind of make sure that they all fit together as nicely as possible. Don't forget to sort of push your weft strips close together to have a nice tight weaving. And keep in mind that not all of your papers will fit. I wasn't able to get my last one to fit just because of the way I cut them out. So which paper weaving would you want to try? Or maybe you want to try all three? I thought it might also be fun if we tried doing an op art drawing inspired by this painting by Victor Vasarely. You'll just need something circular to trace. Here I'm using a potted plant to trace a circle, and you can use any sort of drawing tools that you want, but I'll be using a black marker. It might also be helpful if you have a ruler or a straight edge, so you can draw the straight lines around the circle. Starting towards the middle of the circle, you might want to draw 1 or 2 lines going straight across the middle of the circle to the edges of the paper, and then do the same thing vertically. To make this circle look 3D, what we're going to do is we're going to use our straight edge to draw straight lines only in the background, and then connect those 2 lines with a curve. If you're drawing towards the bottom of your circle, you want that curve to kind of bend down to the bottom of your paper, almost like a smile. So you can see I kind of was able to fit in about 3 curved lines inside my circle. The whole rest of the background is just going to be straight horizontal lines. You'll follow this same idea when you add the lines towards the top of your circle, except this time the curves are going to point upwards like a rainbow. Now what I'm doing is not something you need to do. I just noticed that I sort of had a little bit of a tracing mistake in the top right of my circle, so I'm thickening up the outline of my circle to sort of camouflage that. Again, that's not something you need to do. And don't forget, once you have all the curves filled in for your circle, the rest of your background is just going to be straight horizontal lines. Now we will follow that same technique, except we're holding our straight edge vertically, and inside the circle, my curves on the left side will be kind of curving towards the left side of my paper, and the whole rest of the background will just be straight vertical lines. Then when you're working on the right side of the circle, curve or bend those lines towards the right edge of your paper. When you're finished, the circle on your paper should have the illusion of being a 3D sphere popping out from the background. The final step is coloring in your boxes in a checkerboard pattern. I'm using black and white, but you could definitely use different colors if you wanted to. I just picked black and white because I saw that a lot in many of the op art examples. But if you want to pick a different color scheme, go for it. You're the artist. I hope you had a lot of fun making optical illusion artwork with me, and I am so excited to see what you create.